Mrs. Mock, will you tell us why you did it?
I mean, why did I want to fly my airplane out through the Pacific and come back to set a world's record?
Yes.
Well, I guess I just like to do things like that. It seemed like a bit of a challenge. I was going through a record book one day and found out that back in 1938, some Russian gals flew a little less than 3,700 miles in a twin-engine seaplane, and the record still stood, and I thought about it and decided that a modern-day airplane should be able to go a little further. Thought about how much gas I could put in mine, decided I could take the record, so then I started out to do it. Well, the only fear I had was when I was going over the mountains and I got into some very heavy turbulence, but that had nothing to do with the record flight.
Remember the aircraft, the Spirit of Columbus? The pilot was then Bexley housewife and mother of three, Jerrie Mock. She was the first woman to fly solo around the world, and she took off from Port Columbus on March 19th, 1964.
Wonderful, especially over the ocean and the sun's out. And you can look up at the sky and look down at the clouds and fly over them and dream about magic wonderlands. Just most peaceful.
Lonely at all?
No, God's up there. No, I wasn't at all lonely. Of course, now and then I'd talk on the radio to people. The different pilots would talk back and forth, and I'd say, I'm having a sandwich. What kind of a sandwich? And they'd tell me what they were eating. Air Force planes in particular I talked to, because they were flying at the same general altitude that I was.
When Jerrie landed 29 days after takeoff at Port Columbus, she got a lot of attention. Not now, though. In fact, Jerrie Mock isn't a name that pops out of the air when you think of aviation history. In fact, Amelia Earhart and Wiley Post both are certainly more well-known. But on the other hand, Jerrie is kind of philosophical when it comes to her place in the world of aviation.
2 years ago, I was asked to speak to a group of school children, and I thought, well, first I'll find out what they know about other pilots. I found out of the classroom only 2 had heard of Lindbergh, very few had heard of Earhart, and, well, it's just happens, I know it.
What is the common denominator that people like yourself, the Jenna Yeagers, and the Dick Rutans have?
I think you have to have a spirit of adventure, you have to be curious, and, well, maybe a little bit crazy, but then in their case it was something more. They wanted to demonstrate their endurance, their know-how, and prove that it could be done.
Jerrie Mock hasn't flown since 1969. That's when she was ferrying missionaries in New Guinea. She says flying a private plane is just too expensive these days. But she has the memories of the 29-day, 23,206-mile flight, and the Spirit of Columbus hangs in the Smithsonian in Washington. For right now, that's enough for Jerrie Mock to cherish.